The four Gospels tell us that over and over again, Jesus forgave sinners and often dined with them to celebrate God's forgiveness. He did this so frequently that his critics and opponents, who resented his message of forgiveness, ridiculed him and called him a glutton and a drunk. In response, Jesus told several parables, including this one. Since it is usually assumed that the story is about the younger brother who squanders his inheritance, this parable is usually given the title, The Parable of the Prodigal Son. Prodigal is an Old English word that means wasteful. But listen to the parable with fresh ears, and you may perhaps discover that the parable is actually about the older son. Jesus said, "A man had 2 sons, and the younger said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of your estate that will one day come to me.' So the father divided his property between them." Note that according to Jewish custom, the older son receives a double share of his father's estate. Nothing his younger brother does costs him anything. After a few days, the younger son collected all his belongings and set off to a distant country where he squandered his inheritance on wild living. When he had spent everything he had, a severe famine struck, and he found himself in dire need. So he hired himself out to one of the local citizens, who sent him to his farm to tend to a herd of pigs. And he longed to eat his fill of the pods on which the swine fed, but nobody offered him any. Coming to his senses, he thought, "My father's hired workers have more than enough food to eat, but here am I dying from hunger. I shall get up and go to my father, and I shall say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as you would treat one of your hired workers.' So he got up and he went back to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father caught sight of him and was filled with compassion. He ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son.' He had indeed sinned. He sinned against his father by wasting his inheritance. He also sinned against God, first by dishonoring his father, thus breaking one of the 10 commandments, and second, by working with an animal deemed unclean by Jewish law. But his father ordered his servants, 'Quick, bring the finest robe and put it on him, put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Take the fattened calf and slaughter it. Then let us celebrate with a feast, because this son of mine was dead and has come back to life again. He was lost and has been found.' Then the celebration began. The robe indicates that the returning boy is the honored guest. The ring was the family signet used to seal legal documents. Only a son could wear such a ring. And since only slaves went barefoot in public, the sandals indicate that the father is accepting him not as a servant, but as a son. Killing the fattened calf indicates that the father was going to invite a large crowd to celebrate, probably the whole town, even though, no doubt, many neighbors would think the father a fool for taking such a son back into the family. Now the older son had been out in the field, and as he got near the house, he heard the sound of music and dancing. He called one of the servants and asked him what this might mean. The servant said to him, "Your brother has returned, and your father has slaughtered the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound." The older son became angry, and when he refused to enter the house, his father came out and pleaded with him. He said to his father in reply, "Look, all these years I served you, and not once did I disobey your orders. Yet you never gave me anything, not even a young goat to feast on with my friends. But when this son of yours returns, after squandering your property on prostitutes, for him you slaughter the fattened calf." The father replied, "My son, you are here with me always. Everything I have is yours. But now we must celebrate and rejoice, because your brother was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found." Did that older brother enter the celebration with his father? Did he welcome his brother home? The parable doesn't tell us. Notice that the truly good, the superior person in this story is the father, who loves his sons unconditionally. The older brother thinks he is a superior person, but in fact he is nothing like his father. Jesus is asking those who hear this parable, Are you like this self-righteous older brother who is judgmental and thinks he is better or more deserving than his brother? Or are you like the father who, according to Jesus, forgives and loves beyond all comprehension? Would you enter the house to celebrate, or would you sulk and remain outside? In this parable, Jesus challenges any and all of us who may be like that older brother to have a change of heart, to become more like our Heavenly Father, to become less judgmental and more merciful, especially toward those who have renounced their sins and have accepted forgiveness.